So what you just saw was an awesome video produced by Christina Bremer. Give her a hand. But here's the deal. What you just saw were about 7 or 8 things that we've all talked about this past year, right? Right? We all heard Laurel because nobody hears Yanny. We've all heard that. We've all watched one of those. Some of y'all were into the royal wedding, right? Some of y'all weren't. Some of y'all were into the World Cup. Some of y'all were glad that the Patriots lost the Super Bowl. Some of you are playing Fortnite, probably even right now somehow. That is happening, but we all tell something. Over this past year, have you talked about something that was important to you? Raise your hand. Anything. Doesn't have to be what's on the screen. You talk about whatever is important to you. And that's the name of our new series. It's called Go Tell. Go Tell. We're launching a new series. We're launching a new, I would even say, campaign for what we want to do over this next year. We want to go tell what is most important to us. Right? That's what that whole video was about. The World Cup, whenever it was on, it was trending all over Twitter, trending all over Facebook. If you're doing that, it was trending over everything. If you go into Google, it was trending. We were actually in a meeting. I had a life group leaders meeting, and we cut it off because there was a game going into penalty kicks, and we threw it up on Apple TV and watched it for a few minutes. That's how important stuff like that was. We talked about all of this stuff. But I want to ask you this. What is it that you're sharing? Because whatever it is that you're sharing or whatever it is that you're talking about is what is important to you. So you saw another video earlier, and it was Corey trying to fish. All right, trying being a key word. Corey was out there trying to fish. How many of you guys love to fish? How many of you guys love? Yeah, I love to go fishing. I don't as much as I should, but I love to go fishing. I love to spend time on the creek, on the lake, wherever I can go. I love to fish. And I want to actually show you a picture of a fish, the biggest fish I've ever caught. Look at that. That was me at 18 years old. Look at that. Straight up Old Navy. That was me, bro. You can't, but I didn't want you to see my face, dude. Yeah. So here's the thing. I had no facial hair. I had another picture I could put up there. I was like, no, man, no. So that's a 7-pound bass I caught in the lake in Old Fort. All right, second cast. I just threw out there. First cast, I got it hooked on something like I didn't know what I was doing. And then I somehow got it unhooked off the little wheel that was out there. And then I threw it again. Bam! Caught this thing. And I was happy for like the rest of my life. That thing, you know what? I didn't mount it. I should have, but instead, I ate him. But no, didn't name him. But I love to fish. That's the biggest fish I've ever caught. The biggest bass I've ever caught in my life. It's something that honestly I told quite a few people about. Right? If it would have been the days of Instagram or Facebook, it would have been on there. Right? It was before the days, don't judge me, it was before the days that those things were around. But I had to tell somebody, and I love to fish. So what did I do? Once I caught him, you think I just stopped? No, I immediately went and kept fishing to catch more because I realized, man, if I catch that, I'm going to be catching some more. So I caught 4 more that day. Not that size, but I caught more that day. And I just kept on going because I love to fish. Well, Cameron just read something for us that talked about being fishers of men. And this past April, I was on sabbatical. If you were around at that point, you knew that. I took a month that I was away, went to some various places. But one of the first places I went to was the Cove in Asheville. Went to the Cove, and I decided that I would just begin reading through the book of Matthew. Right? God had already been convicting me about my own evangelism. But I just read, I began to read the book of Matthew, and honestly, I couldn't get past Matthew 4. I couldn't get past Matthew 4. And here's why. Because in Matthew 4, I couldn't get over what God was showing me, that I realized that I've been keeping myself safe. Christianity was never about being safe. And I've been keeping myself safe, and that's what God showed me in Matthew 4, because ultimately, here's what I was doing. I was making sure that people were being discipled, you guys, that you come to you, that you're in some way somebody's poured into your life, and that was it. There was no evangelism. And ultimately, what was going on in my own heart, that I was staying safe, was what was happening in this ministry. And here's what God showed me. I got it written down in my journal. God showed me. He was like, Adrian, you know what? You're trying to be safe, and here's what all the students in your ministry are doing. They come to church, they're hopefully being discipled, and somebody's poured into their life, and then that's it. And that was never supposed to be Christianity. Christianity is supposed to be unsafe. Christianity is supposed to be adventurous. Christianity is supposed to be risky. And God was saying, Adrian, you're making sure that people kind of get in the boat, and then you're just keeping them there. Making sure that they don't do anything crazy or don't do anything dumb. And I began asking myself the question, when is the last time I shared Christ with somebody? And I'll be honest, that day, it was April 2nd at the Cove, April 3rd, I believe. April 3rd, I was at the Cove. And I had to look back, and I was like, I don't remember. I remember getting in conversations, but I don't remember the last time that I sat down with somebody with the intention of sharing the gospel with them. And God began convicting me about that, and what He ended up showing me was, look, this is something that's got to change, because if you're my follower, guess what I've called you to do? Be a what? Be a fisher of people. When you fish, you're trying to catch something. So I want to ask you this. When is the last time you shared the gospel with the intention to lead somebody to Christ? When was the last time you shared the gospel with the intention to lead somebody to Christ? When is the last time you shared your faith because of what it means to you? Jesus means so much to you that you just can't help but to talk about it. Listen, I want you to know this is not a guilt trip, because I was asking myself the same question and still do. But I'm asking you that question. If we're going to be people who are called by Jesus, we're also supposed to be people who go and catch other people. So according to Matthew, how do we then go do that? How do we catch other people? How do we do that? And here's what we got to realize. And there are two truths that are real simple. First one is this. In order to catch people, you've got to follow Jesus. Some of you are like, okay, duh, right? In order to be a Christian who actually shares the gospel, of course you've got to follow Jesus. But I'm not saying like be a quote-unquote Christian. I'm talking about somebody who is actually following Jesus. Are you actually following Jesus? Like, are you? Or is He just something that you do? Church is just a place you go. Reading your Bible is something that if you get time, you do it. Is that the case? Or are you actually following Jesus? If you are, how is your life different because of it? How is your life different because of it if you're following Jesus? Is following Jesus simply coming to church or a life group, but it's segmented from school? It's separated from your family? It's segmented from whatever you do on the ball field? Or is following Jesus, integrated into your whole life? Matthew 4:20 says that immediately they left their nets and followed Him. These were the disciples. When Jesus called them, it said immediately they left their nets. These guys left their livelihood. They left what was comfortable to them to be a follower of Jesus. Listen to me. All eyes on me real quick. Jesus can't just be a Sunday thing. A real follower of Jesus can't just be a Sunday thing or a midweek life group thing. Because if that's all He is, you're not His follower. You're just making sure that you do a few right things. He's got to be integrated into every part of your life. When's the last time you were reminded that you were saved from your sin? If you're sitting in this room tonight and you're a saved follower of Christ, when's the last time you were reminded, wow, like I was headed for hell and Jesus saved me? Like I was headed to a place that I was going to spend eternity away from God. And Jesus saved me from that. I was living a life that was miserable and I hated. Jesus saved me from that. I was always worried about what everybody else thought. And now I don't have to be that way because Jesus has saved me from that. Let me ask you this question too. Are you putting yourself out there as a Christ follower? Or is that still something you keep in the background? Like something kind of keeping in your back pocket. Like you want it there whenever it needs to be there, but following Jesus is not who you are. It's not something you put out there. Because listen, we've got a mission from Jesus that's way too important to just be in the background. Our mission from Jesus is way too important to be in our back pockets. Here's the second truth. First truth is follow Jesus. If you want to be somebody who catches people, the second one is this: you've got to lead others toward Jesus. You've got to lead others toward Jesus. I asked the question, is your life different because of following Jesus? And I want to ask you this question. I'm going to ask every single one of you. I've asked myself this question. Can others tell your life is different because you follow Jesus? Or because you follow Jesus, is someone else's life different? Because you're a follower of Christ, is someone else's life been changed by the same Jesus who changed yours? When's the last time you walked into school or to work or to Walmart, for whatever reason you want to go there, to Walmart or a restaurant with the intention to share the gospel? One of the ways that Jerry would, I've heard him do this before, and I've done it in various places, is when you go to a restaurant, if you go to like a sit-down restaurant where you have a waiter or waitress, when they come in, they take your drink order before they bring your drinks back to you, just simply ask them, hey, is there anything that we can be praying for you about? You know, like, hey, man, is there something I pray for you about? And then you ask, and sometimes they're like, no, I'm good. Oftentimes, they'll kind of be caught off guard, and they'll say, well, yeah, like, and they'll kind of tell you something. They'll share with something that's going on in their life. It could be surface, and sometimes it's been deep. And then what do? You say, all right, we're going to pray for that. And then I've had opportunities right then to pray with them, or they go on and they get the drinks, and then when we say our blessing, we pray for that person. Sometimes it's led to nothing. Sometimes it's led to a further conversation. That's one way, just to go into a restaurant and do that. We've got to lead others toward Jesus. In John 1:40-42, Jesus is walking through a town, and he runs up on this guy named Andrew. You see up here, one of the two who heard John speak and follow Jesus was Andrew. We all know Peter, right? Simon Peter in the Bible. Andrew was his brother. So look what happens in verse 41. After Andrew hears about Jesus, it doesn't say that he's like, oh, I'm saved, I'm good, now I'm just not going to hell. No, he says he first found his own brother Simon and said to him, we have found the Messiah, and then he brought him to Jesus. The first thing that Andrew did once he came to faith in Jesus, he went and found somebody and said, you've got to come see this guy who's going to save you from your sin. See, that's why it's so important that we're reminded, right? That we are reminded that we were saved from our sin. We've got to remember that. When he heard Jesus and his life was changed, what did he do next? He went and he told somebody. And then if we fast forward on in the life of Peter, we get to Acts chapter 2. Jesus has already been crucified. Peter has denied him. But then Peter is now his follower. And then Jesus has ascended into heaven. And Peter stands up in front of thousands of people. And he begins to proclaim who Jesus is and say, I want to tell you about this guy who has saved me. Peter, who had a lot of wins, he had a lot of losses. When you straight up deny Jesus to his face, that's a loss, okay? Like, he did some dumb things. He got called Satan by Jesus. That's how bad he was at the time. So Peter wasn't this like awesome Satan who never made a mistake. Peter was a real follower of Jesus, somebody just like you and me, somebody who was just real. He didn't try to put on, he was just a simple follower of Christ. He had some wins and he had some losses, but when he stood up in Acts 2 and he began to tell about Jesus, you know what happened? Acts 2:41, it says that when he got done sharing, there were 3,000 people who got saved. Now, the chances of you standing up in front of your school and seeing there's not 3,000 in your school anyway, the chances of you standing up in front of your school and like seeing that many people get saved probably slim. But here's what this means. People all around you, school, work, people right now, people in here, people all around you are ready to hear about the hope that only Jesus brings. They're ready. We have the same mission that Peter had. It's no different. No different. That's why this quarter, or this year, for the next 3 months, all of our messages, all of your life group lessons, all of our events, everything we do over this next quarter, September, October, November, is going to be focused on going. It's going to be focused on going. You've heard this phrase, that we use from the front in adult worship, but we used it here called You Are Sent. That's our mission. Our mission is not to come to church and be done. Our mission is to walk out from this place empowered to go take the message of the gospel to anybody who wants to hear it. And this quarter and this year, that's what we're focusing. We're focusing on reaching lost people. Here's why, guys. According to stats, there are anywhere between 21 to 2,700 lost 6th through 12th grade students in McDowell County. Think about this. I think the number's up there. That's a staggering number. That somewhere between 21 to 2,700 students that you go to school with, if they died today, would go straight to hell. And God has put you in their path, and put me in their path, and put Christian teachers in their path to share the hope that only Jesus has. And our mission is to reach them with the gospel, every single one of them. You say, Adrian, that's a little crazy to think about reaching 2,700 students for Jesus. You know what? It is a little crazy. Peter was crazy. He stood up in front of a few thousand people to preach, and he did it. And 3,000 people came to faith. It is a little crazy. You know what? Jesus is way too important to me, and hopefully way too important to you. And listen to this. Jesus is way too important to the person that doesn't know him yet. Because it's only through knowing him will their life be changed. Jesus is way too important not to share. So if you're looking to play it safe and just be basic and put Jesus in the background, go ahead. Like, do that. That's cool. You know, this train that's going to be taken off, that's trying to win all those people to Jesus is going to leave you behind, because that's not what being a Christian is all about. If you're just looking to be to just get by, that's not being a Christian. But if you're looking to be used by God and see people's lives change and willing to take risks and sometimes be uncomfortable, and you want to be able to have a blast living out your Christian faith because it's not boring, then sharing the gospel is for you. Because I'll be honest with you, the times that I've grown the most in my faith is not when I was reading my Bible the most. It's when I was sharing Jesus the most with other people. Because when you're sharing Christ, you know what's happening? Your life's having to be changed, because if you're not changed, you ain't got nothing to share. But when you're sharing Jesus, guess what? Your life's being changed. If you're sharing the gospel, that's the times in my life that I've grown the most. So if you're tired of playing it safe as a Christian, honestly, that's what I was doing. That's what God showed me on my sabbatical. I was just playing it safe. I was just getting by. I was preaching sermons, and I felt okay about it. No, that's not being a Christian. Being a Christian is not playing it safe. It is sharing the gospel with people who need to hear it. Like the guy at the gym that I try to talk to. Right? I go in there and I try to have a conversation with him whenever I can see him, whenever he's not personal training somebody. And when I do, it's good. And oftentimes I walk by and I say, hey, man, what's up? And he just keeps on walking. But when I can, I try to share the gospel with that guy because he needs it. I know he does. So it's looking for those opportunities. So here's how we're going to try to reach lost students in McDowell County. Some of y'all walked in, you saw the board over there. There's nothing on it yet. Next week it'll have a few more things on it. But this is going to be our You Are Sent board. All right? It's going to be our You Are Sent board. Here's what that board represents. I didn't put those over there. I did earlier, but I took it back. There are just a few ping pong balls in there, but that board can hold approximately 2,300 ping pong balls. All right? Approximately, something around that number. Every time that you share the gospel, I don't mean invite to church. Anybody can say, hey, come to church with me. Every time you share Jesus with somebody, this board will be up here all year long until we enter, however long it takes to overflow. Every time you share the gospel with somebody, you get to come in here, right back there on that table, grab a Sharpie, put that person's initials on one of these ping pong balls, and drop a ball in. And what we're going to do is leave that thing up there until it begins to overflow with all the people that we're sharing the gospel with. My goal is for that 2,700, or 24, or 21, or however many it is, however many lost people are in the county, my goal is that we share the gospel with every single one of them. That sounds a little wild, it sounds a little crazy, but that's what I want us to do. So this next year, I want to see that board overflow with the initials of people who you are sharing with and who I'm sharing with. So that's one way I want to motivate us. Another thing we're going to do is called a reach night. A reach night. A little corny phrase, right, that Corey and I found. And it's called each one, reach one. Okay? Real corny. So you know it have to come from me and him, right? Each one reach one. But here's what's going to happen. There are going to be 3 nights throughout this semester that are explicit gospel sharing nights. And here's what I mean. For those nights, what's going to happen is I'm going to challenge you. I would love it if you brought friends every single week, but on those nights, the first one is September 16th. Not next Sunday, but the next. That's the night I want you to for sure bring one of your lost friends in here, because that night we'll have a straight up gospel presentation, like about how you can get saved. That night we'll have an altar call or a way that you can respond, because we want to see people come to faith in here. So on September 16th, we're going to have what's called a Reach Night. And we're going to have, again, 3 throughout the semester, where I want you to be inviting those lost people, those friends that you have, that night. Like if they're like, yeah, I think I might come, say, no, you've got to come tonight. Because guess what? You inviting them and them coming could be the difference in life with God forever or life without Him forever. It's called a Reach Night. Other thing we're going to do is called a Go Tell Day. That's the title of this series, for Go Tell. Throughout this series and throughout this year, we're going to have days where we gather together here, probably on a Saturday morning. Could be a random day. We're going to gather here. We'll then drive somewhere, maybe Asheville, maybe downtown Marion. We're going to go somewhere. We'll split off in groups, and you know what we're going to do? We're just going to straight up do street evangelism. Now, I did this with a life group that I had about 5 years ago, and we went to Asheville. I think there were 5 of us, and we went up there. And we split up, and what we did is it was me and 2 other guys, and we walked up to this one guy and got into a conversation about Jesus. He didn't want to hear it, so we walked up to the next one. And I did the talking on the first one. Well, then I told the boy who was with me, I said, hey, you got to talk to this guy. So we started talking to that guy. Come to find out he was a Greek Orthodox dude, and we got into this long theological conversation about what he believes and what we believe. And he was like, man, what you guys are talking about is very interesting. And that's about it. His family walked out wherever they were shopping. He was like, y'all giving me some stuff to think about. I'll catch you later. And we never saw him again. But it was an opportunity to share with that guy. It was cool. It was so cool. So that's what we're going to do. Go Tell. Go Tell Days. You'll be here. The first one will be coming up in October. But a Go Tell Day. And all this will culminate into next year's mission trip. We'll be taking a mission trip next summer. Student-led mission trip to New York City. We're going to be working with a church planter or planters in New York City, where we're going to be serving in that city in various capacities with all kinds of people from all kinds of different ethnic groups. People that maybe speak our language, people that don't. We're going to be doing that, but the only way that you can go on that mission trip is if you have reach a certain requirement of mission opportunities that you do throughout the county, and I'll be telling you about that in future weeks. But that's just a little bit of what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, over the next few months. So I'm going to leave you with some homework. And here's what I want you to think about. Who are your 5? Who are your 5? Here's what I mean. Who are those 5 people that you know right now, or that you can go home and think of tonight, those 5 people that I've got to invite or I've got to share the gospel with? Who are those 5? Identify 5 people in your circle. Who are those 5 people that you've got to share or invite to church? You're like, man, I know that person. I probably won't be able to talk to them about Jesus. It'll be hard. But maybe you try and maybe you fail. Or maybe you try and succeed. Or you say, look, I want you to come to youth with me 2 weeks from now. And you bring them that night on our first Reach Night. So who are your 5? Second thing I want you to think about is praying. Praying this prayer. I had a professor in seminary who told us to pray this. He said he prayed every day. I pray often, but not every day. God, send me someone to tell about you. Give me the wisdom to see it, the boldness to take it, and the words to share it. We'll be posting this on social media this week so that you can see it and so you can be reminded of this. But praying this, God, who's somebody today that you want me to share you with? Give me the wisdom to see that opportunity, the boldness to take it. And God, I hope that you give me the words to share it. And the last thing I want you to do in your homework is write out your testimony. Like if you're like, I don't really have much of a story to share. For one, if you've been saved by Jesus, you have a story to share. But I want you to write it out. Like, what is my testimony? What is it that I would share with somebody if I were sharing about Jesus? What is that I would share? So who are your 5? Begin praying this prayer and write out what it is you would like to actually share with someone if you were to talk to them. So guys, the only way that we are going to reach 2,700 students in this county is if you guys are sent into your schools, into your various circles of influence, and you begin talking about Jesus. You begin inviting to you. So who are your 5? You pray that prayer, write out your testimony. Guys, let's pray together. Jesus, thank you that you've given us the opportunity to share a message of hope with lost people, to share a message of good news to people who only hear bad news. I pray that you would use us in whatever way you see fit to reach this community with the gospel. Jesus, we ask this in your name. Amen. Guys, I got a couple quick announcements. You'll see some of these, but we got one, Lot Ministry. If you've ever been to Lot Ministry, we serve food to the homeless in Asheville. That is on September 29th. We'll leave here at 7:15. So 7:15, September 29th, we'll leave here to go serve food to the homeless in downtown Asheville. We'll have opportunities to share the gospel that day. That's the event coming up. The other thing, Fall Retreat, you see there, is November 16th to the 18th. It's a little bit later this year. But Fall Retreat, go ahead and put that on your calendar. And then lastly, our Reach Day, our Reach Night, that's September 16th. So think about who you want to invite that night, guys. Hope you have a good week. I'll see some of y'all this week if I visit your school. If not, I'll see you guys next week. God, have a good week.